Churned mud and swampland stretches out into the gloom. Thick fog hangs heavy in the air. Rolling barrows loom out from the muck. A strange root writhes underfoot. 1,000 years after the defeat of Napoleon at the Battle of Austerlitz, the world has fallen into decay. Endless war has led to technology stagnating, and beautiful countrysides have been ground to a thick ruin under the boots of 1,000,000 dead men. Hi, my name's Chris. I like to paint things, and to be honest, I've been pretty burnt out on a lot of miniature wargaming recently. From the endless stream of FOMO releases that I can't even afford, to the ever-expanding range of gaming systems to run, I haven't found something to really, reignite that spark. At least until I found Turnip28. Turnip28 is a grimdark miniatures game set in a post-apocalyptic Napoleonic era. That's a mouthful. Now, I'm an American, and honestly, I know very little about Napoleon. Instead, my two turnip armies will be based on the only war of that era my freedom-loving brain even understands, the American Revolution. I recently unboxed some American Minutemen in a video, and I plan on grimdarking them up soon. In this video, however, I'll be converting up some Perry Miniatures British infantry alongside a selection of various miniatures to build an army for my new wargaming obsession, Turnip28. So Turnip28 is what you'd call a miniatures agnostic wargame. That being, the people who made it don't have a set of miniatures that they really want you to buy. Now they do have sets of miniatures. They don't make you buy them, but they do have interesting sets of miniatures. So I decided to just grab some random crap off the internet. First up is a set of Perry miniatures, just some British troops. I'll put a link in the description if I remember. I don't know what or who or why they are, other than they are British revolutionary dudes with guns, basically. I don't do historicals, obviously. And then I grabbed a Wargames Atlantic. It's the weird war kit, which I think is going to be literally it's the turnip sprue, right? It's got funny heads and weird little ghouls and goblins and grubs and bugs and just all this crazy stuff, plus some awesome heads. They'll be perfect for this. Then I grabbed the Les Grognards kit from Wargames Atlantic 2, mostly for the heads and a couple bodies. These are some excellent heads that are very, very similar to the heads from the Perry Miniatures kit, but just crazier. As you can see, the standard head for these really normal, regular people during the Revolutionary War are normal sized, but we don't want that. Why would we want that? No, we want this. We want ridiculous, oversized heads that are dudes in an awful, ruined, harsh landscape with terrible posture and look like they might need a meal or two. Now, they're not going to fit perfectly. They use a ball and socket joint that's much too big for the Perry Miniatures kit, so I had to do a little bit of modifying. Nothing super hard. Kit bashing head swaps are the easiest thing you can do to make your kit bash original, make it different. You can literally change the most boring space marine on the planet by just swapping his head, which I've done 100 times. I'm sure you've seen a million people kit bash. I'm not gonna go too far in depth in how one kit bashes. That's not why you come to me. You come to me for the vibes, right? I don't know if you come to me for the vibes. You come to me for we have fun here at least, right? I then basically built the kit as normal, same normal arms. We're going to throw on a couple gross details later, don't you worry. I then went ahead and made about 4 more very similar troops to make in one line, swapping in one head that I didn't have. And like any good squad, I don't know if squad is the right word for these times, but any good group of soldiers, they need someone telling them where to point their boomsticks. So that's this guy. He's got probably my favorite head on that weird war sprue. This head is just turnip out the wazoo. It's great. But he needed something a little different to make him, stand out. I just grabbed some Frostgrave Cultist arms, one of the best kits one could buy for kit bashing, and I just slapped those bad boys on these bodies. Scale's not perfect, but Turnip is just weird, so this guy looks like he gets one more vegetable a day than the rest of his troops. He looks a little less emaciated. He also looks like he knows what's going on, which is kind of surprising. Now, I left a few gaps here. Nothing that a little bit of a nothing that a little bit of sprue goo can't handle. I'll fix this up later. I didn't do a ton of gap filling on these minis. I literally just wanted to build them and be done. I didn't want to do a bunch of green stuffing. You can cover this with some like crusties later, trust me. Now with my first set of troops done, I was feeling very, very good about the direction that this project was going to take. The whole army was kind of coming into sight now. It was awesome. But they did need to get a little weird, to get a little more turnip. So I grabbed some plant matter. I grabbed some like a teapot and some forks and knives that I couldn't tell you where I got. I think I stole them from my wife's miniature kits. And I just slapped those kind of willy-nilly. Now, it's important to have a solid bits box when you want to kit bash. You don't need as many bits boxes as I have, but having a good, like, wide, variety's the spice of life, right? Obviously, that's what they say. So I grabbed some Skaven bits. This little flagpole is going to be awesome. We're going to need a banner. This scroll, someone's definitely got to be decreeing something important. It's also nice, you can sprinkle in whatever you want. Like, orc kits are great if you're going for a little more industrial, which I don't know if industrial is the right word for turnip. Death Guard are always good for gross things and pustules and flies. I also have a small set of fantasy models, including some 3D prints that honestly could just make a squad on their own. There's like a brute troop type that they would be good for, but I got to expand the fantasy line because otherwise I can't build this up super well. So I just kind of grabbed whatever looked good and used them everywhere on this project. So after I had a good view for what I wanted for the army, I set to work on building the rest of it. Taking some of those Les Grognards kits, I decided to just basically build them as is, but with tinier arms, so they still looked a little emaciated, a little turnip. I was hoping this would make them look like less like sci-fi soldiers straight out of the box, and something a little more original, a little more silly, and they still have like a crappy little wooden rifle with a bayonet to like keep them in the same regiment. These guys get even bigger hats to denote that they are a little bit better fed than their contemporaries. One of the quickest ways to like really turnip up some miniatures is to just put some sort of foliage on them before even priming. So these guys get like a big healthy clump of fur, and I feel like that weirdly ties the model together. Maybe I'm just used to Space Marine backpacks, but I think these four look awesome. These are my chaff, and they are a little bit stronger, a little bit more well fed. And I really, really liked how they came out. So then I set to building the rest of the army. This is one of my, I think this is going to be my Toph. I couldn't even tell you what bits he's made out of, but he's great. And he's got a little dog friend. This is like, I think a Russian guy is hiding in the force of all of these revolutionaries. This one I went a little ham with. He's got like a robo arm and a fork knife banner. He's pretty cool. This is my favorite head in the bunch, like I said before. Pretty rad. This might be my favorite model in the entire army. And then I just basically took an old Mega Bloks cannon and decked it out with some nastiness, and very, very happy with that. So something very useful when building turnip models is definitely going to be green stuff for gap filling and also for like sculpting weird stuff. I decided to go light on that on this army, but I think I'm going to go heavy on the next army. The biggest thing was I set about my standard basing method using baking soda paint, a couple of grains of sand, and some water. You've seen me do it before. I decided to base everybody in one go, let it dry overnight. So I decided to set on like 6 solid colors to use for 90% of the painting. We're going to need a couple of reds to highlight up to, a couple of grays for the same reason, and 2 different metallics. One's like a brass, one's like a dark dingy metallic, and then a brown in there if you got one. The best move I think when it comes to painting, especially dirty stuff, but this has been my take forever on miniatures nowadays, start with just some dry brushing, because then you eliminate that like blank canvas feeling if you've already got all your highlights in place. You may see none of this dry brushing at the end, or if you're like me in this project and I went with something really dingy, a lot of this dry brushing actually shows up later on in the final product. Kind of gives you an actual base to work up from, so your background isn't, again, it's not blank paper. If you followed my Chaos Cultists video, which I know you didn't follow, because unfortunately it's, view counts a bit to be desired, but it's basically just a simple process of taking dark red and progressively dry brushing up to lighter red. I actually do that after I did these steps, and I really regret it. You'll see a big difference on these, which have just been base coated with a standard red, versus the dry brush method that I use on everything else. This is kind of a what not to do with base coating. This is boring. This is awful, unfun base coating, just trying to get solid colors. Dry brushing, trust me, is the way to go. Don't do what I do in this clip. Go watch that Cultist video and do that, because I end up redoing all of these models, and I just did it on a whim. Didn't even feel like filming it. I just wanted to do them. After you pick out a couple of details, like the guns and the satchels, a couple of small things, we're not going to go crazy. I don't care about details on these. They're going to be grimed up anyway. Some of that detail is going to be covered. It's going to be lost. It's going to get blended in. It's going to get dusty and crusty. We just need a couple good details to see them from far away on a tabletop. With the base coats done, then we use my handy dandy marine juice. I was going to say patented, but it's not mine. It's sort of Sonic Sledgehammer's marine juice, but not quite the same. This is a really great wash that is perfect for army painting. You just load up everything with a ton of it, and then you whisk away the excess when you're done. It's going to give everything a uniform, nice, dingy, grim, dark finish, which is exactly what you want for Turnip. I then repeated this process with all the other troops in my army, keeping them pretty uniform and making it really, really easy on myself. After the marine juice dried, I did a few minimal highlights off camera. They're not here yet. I'll put them on later, trust me. I wasn't even going to highlight anything because I thought it's a dark, dingy game. It doesn't need that. What it does really need is a base. So the base was very simple, just a couple layers of paint, a couple layers of dry brushing, nothing you've never seen before. Again, this isn't a tutorial. This is just like how I did it and how I get over this slump. I did actually buy some Diorama Effects basing, like texture crust from Vallejo, really just because I'm getting tired of doing the method I did. I applied it to these unicorns that I forgot to show off earlier, but the unicorns are my cavalry. Again, a base coat of a cheap craft paint, a couple of dry brushes of some dusty colors with like an off-white on top, a couple of grass tufts, a couple of weird pieces of foliage and lichen just to like make things interesting, make them turnipy, and then you get a really nice result as is, but I like to do one like really the cheapest wash possible. This is like my jar of brown wash, air quotes brown wash. All it really is just like leftover washes, craft paint, water, and a drop of dish soap. After that dried and I got all the tufts on, I was left with this and it looked pretty great. So all that I had to do was just rim the bases, do the ceremonial base rimming in black, and I was left with a full Turnip28 army. And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Let me know what you think in the comments. I try to make this one like short and sweet because I'm trying to like tighten up my editing. I don't want these to be 30-minute videos if y'all don't want 30-minute videos. If you do, let me know and I'll go back to doing really, really long videos where I talk about every detail. But I value your time. I'd rather have like a fun, tight video with like some good editing and some good music. So let me know if you like this style versus my older videos. Let me know what you think about Turnip28. And let me know if you want a video of me making the Americans. I probably won't do that because I'd be rehashing the same stuff. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff because, you know, I need it and it helps drive me to want to make videos. But I'm going to make videos even if you don't do that. And you can't stop me. Regardless, I've been Chris. I like to paint things. Have a good one.